Hey everyone, I want to talk about the movie that got me writing. Now, this movie didn't inspire me to write. There's a lot of other stuff. But it got me to thinking, I can do this. And that movie is Passion 57 by starring Wesley Snipes. Now, if you've seen this movie, it's a tightly packed 90-minute thrill ride. And, that's something that you will see on the box. But it's really just an actioner, and there's no shame in this game. There's no disguising what it is. It doesn't have any deeper meaning. It's just an action movie. And to this point in my writing career, I jotted notes, and I even started a story. So I had some idea of what was going on, or where it was. It was going to be set in Detroit. I knew that. There's going to be this detective agency by this guy. And I think even at that point, he was former Air Force. And his buddies, who were based upon myself and my boss. I'm not going to lie about that. And so what I really had was this camaraderie, this band of brothers kind of thing. And they were all, in this fight together. And that was pretty much it. They were in Detroit. They were private detectives. And that's all I really had. I was still kind of fleshing out where did they come from? How did they get the skills to be private detectives? Did they just wake up one day and decide to be private detectives? What could have took the movie in a whole different direction? But the novel. But I was toying with it. And I wrote some pages down, and I still got them somewhere in my basement. And so I'm thinking about this thing, and this movie comes out, Passion 57, starring Wesley Snipes. Now, Wesley Snipes is Passion 57 is kind of like Bruce Willis's Die Hard. Because before this, Bruce Willis was doing different things. He was more of a comedic actor. And so was Wesley Snipes. He'd done some comedies. He'd also done some dramas. He had been, he'd earned his keep. He had been in different places. He'd pop up. So when Passion 57 came out, it wasn't like, oh, who's this guy? And I was like, oh, it's Wesley Snipes. I know him. I didn't know he did action movies. So I go to see this movie. I'm in Minot. And I, one afternoon I went to go see it. And I'm watching it. And it's just straight up action. I mean, he is a former police officer. And he has some sort of interaction with a criminal. And his wife is involved. She gets caught in the crossfires. And she's murdered during this robbery gone wrong. And that leads John Cutter, the main character, to leave the police force and do security work. And somewhere along the line, he specializes in airplane security, aircraft security. And we're not even told how this happens. It's just like, and one day he's a security guy. It's like, okay, so that's how the movie starts. And he runs into, I think her name was Marty, and she is a feisty flight attendant, and she disobeys his rules. So there's this conflict between them. And John Cutter's buddy, Slide Digecchio, I think that's not his name. I'm probably butchering. Says, hey, I want you to meet the president of the company so that we can make you our head of security. These guys meet, and it's like, oh, you're awesome, I want to make you the head of security, pay you a lot of money. Fly out to LA and we'll finish up the paperwork. So John gets on the aircraft and Marty is there. So there's that, oh my God, there's that kind of tension already. It's like, oh, this is going to be a horrible flight. And also on the plane is Charles Rain. And Charles Rain is the world's most notorious aircraft hijacker. I mean, he murders people, blows up airplanes. I mean, he's just ruthless, and they got him on his plane. And the FBI is transporting him to California for trial. Of course, he escapes. He takes on the aircraft, and only John Cutter can stop him. And I'm smiling because it's just that kind of movie. It's fun. It's really quick. There's no depth to it at all. No, in addition to the aircraft, John Cutter forces the plane to land in Wop Wop, Louisiana. And from there, there's a conflict on the ground. Some other forces get involved. A bumbling local sheriff, straight out of the Dukes of Hazzard, is in play, and but ultimately John Cutter gets back on the aircraft and he defeats the enemy by ironically throwing him from an aircraft, and Charles Raines plummets to his death. So I come out the movie theater just gritted, and it's like, this movie was awesome, and it was awesome. I mean, it's not a great plot, but it was fun. There was a lot of action scenes, and Wesley Snipes said some one-liners, and he kind of established this kind of, tough guy persona as his. I mean, clearly, if there was no Passenger 57, there would be no Blade. And he's building his chops in Hollywood, and he's able to do something. He becomes a no-kidding, movie star. And he's a real live martial artist, so that authenticity comes through. It's just a good movie. So I come out the movie, and I'm like, I can do this. Because when you're writing a book, you're like, what's my theme? What does this mean? And how am I going to affect the masses? You're going to, because you feel like you got to fill the book with something. And I've been reading action books and everything, and I'm trying to find like that je ne sais quoi, that secret sauce, and I just couldn't put my finger on it. And then I realized what this movie is. Just write a good movie, just write fun stuff, just write cool lines, and great action sequences. So that's what I did, and the rest is history. And I borrowed heavily from Charles Raines. My first villain, Cody Random, is very much inspired by Charles Raines. It's kind of like, I'm above you all. He's got this air of superiority, and then for Charles Raines, it was this British accent, and he spoke real slowly. And John Cutter, are you down in her tight little spot down in that tight? There's no goofy lines like that, which leaves Wesley Snipes to deliver the line.
Charlie, you ever play roulette?
On occasion.
Well, let me give you a word of advice. Always bet on black.
It's just like, oh, but it's good, for what it is. So I write the books and I go on. And if you haven't seen Passenger 57, I can't imagine it, but you need to go see it. I mean, it's got a great soundtrack. Stanley Clarke did the soundtrack, and Stanley Clarke is a, famous bass player, and he brings that gravitas and that sound to the soundtrack that makes it, more than just movie, and I had fun with it, and so I bring it up only because it's got a personal space for me. It led me to be an author. I mean, I really was struggling with this notion of, am I good enough? That imposter syndrome. And then I see this movie, which is just pure goofiness on the screen, and I enjoyed it. And then I can do it. So, please, if you haven't, personally read my books. I think they're great. I think you'll think they're great. Check them out. They're fun. They're good reads. The reviews I've gotten have always been good. It's just not that many of them, so I'm doing what I can to get people reading. But also, go check out Passenger 57 if you haven't. And even if you have, look at it again. This is a movie I can look at a dozen times over. So what do you guys think? Did you see Passenger 57? Did you enjoy it? Did you think it was that kind of movie like I described it? Just this crazy, all-out action movie? Or is there another movie you like that makes you feel the exact same way? Comment below.